back to when you were a child. Do you remember desperately wanting to go inside and be told what to do and told where to sit and how to act by some stranger teacher that you don't even really understand what they are? Or would you have rather been at home with your mom or with your dad, playing with your siblings or with your neighborhood friends on the playground? Now, I may have grown up in a privileged area, but I do know that in his second State of the Union address, President Obama proclaimed that he wanted to make high-quality preschool available to every child in America. His plan specifically calls for federally financed preschool for all children under the age of 4 years old, from low-income to moderate-income families. Many children born into income families suffer from neglect and care, and a Head Start program may provide them with a little bit of a safe haven for a few hours a day, just to get away from their maybe problematic and chaotic home. Unfortunately, the key word in that statement is may, because there's not much significant evidence that proves that the Head Start program really is more than a safe haven for children like that, and really proves to be an overall create better quality of life. In his speech, President Obama explains that study after study shows that the earlier a child begins learning, the better that he or she does down the road. He then points to early education as a catalyst for positive rippling effects in long-term benefits. In his words, early education begins boosting graduation rates, reducing teen pregnancy, and reducing violent crimes. Most Americans would not want to deny low-income children education. However, President Obama's studies that he's referring to lack significant and substantial evidence. The two studies he refers to are the Perry Preschool Project, which was conducted in the early 1960s, and the Alblasserdarian Project, which was conducted in the 1970s. Both studies included a total of 58 children. This small number allows for small disparities to affect the conclusion of the overall study. The opinions and the biases of the researchers also affect the results of the study. Both studies and conclusions recommend and recommendations would not be able to be reproduced on a much larger scale, and that would be more representative of the average preschool demographic. Another study that President Obama refers to is the Department of Health and Human Services, the HHS, a federally funded study. The HHS reportedly said that there were initial positive impacts, but by the end of third grade, there were very few impacts on any of the four main domains that they research, which is cognitive learning, social emotional learning, health, and parenting practices. Therefore, President Obama's evidence showing that the earlier a child begins to learn, the better is tenuous. There is no evidence that preschool is an effective use of money. In 2012, the New York Times reported the government will spend $7.9 billion federal tax dollars on the Head Start program, which will apparently promote early school readiness. Fox News reporter Bill O'Reilly once said, "I mean, it sounds so noble. Let's spend more money on education. But the bureaucrats rarely care about implementing programs that actually work." The main point here is that President Obama is not interested in what works, because his educational agenda is tied into his social agenda. The effects of the Head Start program over the past 30 years have still yet to be seen. Public preschool is not the answer for eliminating Americans' current issues, such as low graduation rates and teenage pregnancy. An educator at the Heritage Foundation wrote the following: "Instead of increasing federal spending on preschool and daycare, the administration should be working on to trim duplicative and ineffective programs and leaving the provision in early childhood education and care to private providers. and most importantly, loving parents. What most low-income families need is counseling from private providers on how to lead their children as loving parents. Public preschool has not provided sufficient evidence in changing of a child's life. Thank you very much.